Young adult literature has been and continues to be an integral part for both pre- and in-service teachers. These books act as a doorway into the lives of young adults and cover themes such as romance, personal lives, or coming to grips with the person you are. These are all things which are widely considered by young people of importance, things that they themselves face in their day-to-day lives as they grow. As an exemplar of young adult literature, we will discuss the book envisioned by Simeon Dowd and written by Patrick Ness, A Monster Calls. A Monster Calls follows the story of a 13-year-old boy, Connor, plagued by nightmares about darkness, loss, and falling. His waking life is no better, with an estranged father that always has an excuse not to see him, bullies at school, a domineering grandmother, and his terminally ill mother. Now an ancient yew tree as old as the earth has come walking, to tell Connor 3 tales and to uncover the truth that Connor deems too terrible to reveal even to himself. Denial threatens to swallow him in a world of self-loathing and despair. Unknown to Connor, he's dealing with a grief he does not yet realize he must deal with, and he's called a monster to help. The book is mostly from the perspective of Connor himself. This implies that the book is designed for ages around that of the protagonist himself, which is 13 or a middle grade. However, during school scenes, Connor makes several comments to himself about how youthful the other children his age seem to be, how innocent, how unaware they are of the horrors of his life. It implies the alienation that Connor feels to the rest of his world. This allows a much more matured perspective from readers, allowing the age group that the book is targeting to be raised to adults with a similar maturity. Furthermore, the book covers themes such as loss and grief that is involved in losing a loved one. The book is a prime example of the power of words and the emotions they can evoke in an audience. This production of fiction very well demonstrates an ability to help those struggling with their grief, as this is one of the main themes of A Monster Calls. This expands the implied reader considerably, with reviews such as that by Daniela describing this book as being one of the reasons that they've conquered the misconceptions where people thought young adult meant children's and not for them. Ness's novel spins a grand tale of emotion and loss, a forbidden truth and grief. Many readers find themselves in tears while reading it, being reminded of their own losses in life. There's something they can relate to. This is a topic covered by Daniela in her review of the book, where she says, "Often in marketing, charity campaigning, TV shows and Lifetime movies, the person battling cancer is portrayed as a stoic warrior who will claw and fight this evil, menacing disease. The truth, as Dowd's story and Ness's words illustrate, is far starker and yes, uncomfortable. The truth is, dying is ugly." For someone dealing with loss in their own life, to those who would be mourning, this book could very much be the thing which allows them to move past. As the book says in its final sentences, Connor held his mother tightly, and by doing so, he could finally let go. Another review written by Sarah R. Hatch paints a similar picture. She does, however, mention another theme, which is one of the main themes of truth and vulnerability. She describes that readers will be reminded of the parts of themselves they are not too proud of, but, like Connor, must accept and recognize as part of themselves. Interestingly, Hatch also brings to light a perspective that the monster is a personification of Connor's grief and inner fears. She attaches this ideology to the fact that all of the readers of the book have our own monsters that we must face in our daily lives. Only ignoring them will make them come walking. This is again agreed upon by our third reviewer, Bob from Bob's Book Blog, where he states that this is an important story because it carries the truth about us all. We all have fears, and sometimes these fears release the monster within. So it is with Connor. Bob again sheds light on the themes of letting go and grief, being able to accept the situation. I find myself of a similar perspective with both Hatch and Bob. The story is very much about these themes, and it is evident throughout. The reader suspects the inevitable truth that he will lose his mother, but, like Connor, you hope that it will not be so. Denying the truth only serves to make life harder, and this is truth the novel teaches well. The focalization is on Connor primarily. It's told from Connor's perspective, his understanding. The reader even has a doorway into his inner thoughts and feelings. The story is, however, written in a third-person format. It implies and describes things that Connor could or couldn't be aware of at any given time. The text stays rigid in its form, however it does change focalization in several instances involving the monster, for example, when the monster tells the first and second tales. The third tale is a unique story that is told during the thick of an event that Connor is going through. Throughout the story, Connor is constantly bullied, but he doesn't seem to mind as the bully serves as his connection to the real world, something that makes him feel normal. In this scene, the bully has decided that the worst thing he can possibly do to Connor is to ignore him, which would cut off his normality. As such, the scene remains with focalization as Connor, and as a result, we have a more direct window to what's going on through Connor's mind as he listens to the tale and rage builds towards his bully. Monster Calls follows the usual linear pattern of most narratives with a beginning, middle and end. However, it does not introduce the problem like most narratives. There isn't a beginning to the book where everything is at peace and Connor is normal. It begins with the monster ripping his bedroom to pieces and swallowing him whole. His mother has the illness already. Connor is already being bullied. To set up the world that the book is in, each problem is given context later as they occur. A less obvious intertextual strategy used is based on the Kubler-Ross 6 stages of grief. The 6 stages of the psychological theory are denial, which is the main theme that the book addresses, anger, which Connor certainly is, whether it be with the monster, his only friend, or other family members. Connor is rarely happy with them in the story. The third is bargaining. Connor attempts to convince the monster to heal his mother as he is a yew tree with much healing ability. The monster says that if the yew tree could help, it would. And later Connor is angry when he thinks their deal is broken when the medicine doesn't work. Depression is evident subtly, but only through Connor's mother, as she herself knows that she may not make it. The final is acceptance, the end of the narrative, and the conclusion where Connor finally can say goodbye. A Monster Calls is a heart-wrenching experience that follows a boy in denial, attempting to gain acceptance for the inevitable passing of his mother. He cannot bear the grief of what is to come, and as such, a monster is called to help him. The book is a great example of a unique method of writing young adult literature, and it can also be a guide to young adults themselves as they grow. Teachers will have to teach many different people facing many different things in their life. The book is not only a great learning opportunity for recognizing writing skill, but it also serves potentially as a life lesson, comfort, and a guide to any young adults who struggle in their lives.